how do you overcome the challenges of actually finding a job here in the US? So maybe you guys can talk a little bit first all are some of the challenges that you encountered as you were going through the job search process and how you overcame them.
So when you're searching for a job, at least from my experience, going through Craigslist, finding a bunch of job postings, sending your resume en masse to everybody that you find doesn't tend to be very effective. You can't really tailor what you're sending to the companies because you're just trying to get a lot of numbers out there. One introduction is worth, I want to say, 1,000 cold outreach. So my strategy when I moved to New York is I took NYU's continuing education classes at CPS. I took the digital marketing program, and I entered the program with one goal, to meet people. And I literally paid to go through the program to make connections. And that really allowed me to connect with a lot of industry professionals in the field that I was interested in. So this marketing field, digital marketing. And in the process, I really connected with many of the students throughout the class. And this was the right fit for me because people who attend continuing education tend to be professionals that already have jobs, that are already connected in the right companies where I wanted to go. And that's the approach I took to get a foot in the door because the cold outreach route just wasn't working for me.
Interesting. I have a different route. I actually came here and I worked first TA, RA. I got as many jobs as I could because my family could not support me, so I actually had to make my own living here in the United States, in New York. So I got every single possible RA position. I would work. I think I maxed out possibly on like every single possibility I could do, and actually work not only because when you come as a F1 student, you can only work on campus. However, there's some kind of way around it that I found. You can work on different campus. If it goes to your university, I don't know. Anyway, I worked a lot at universities, different universities, including NYU, CUNY. I was mostly teaching. But then I got a job on Wall Street, which was also through connection, actually. People noticed I was teaching here, actually, at NYU. I was teaching statistics. And I had all the statistics skills. So I have a PhD in psychology. Those skills were not fully applicable to Wall Street. But my statistics skills, which was something I never really paid attention to, I had to do it to do my job, analyze data. That was what the Wall Street people and the hedge fund found very useful. And that's how I got, actually, that was my first job, with those skills that I kind of always undervalued.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, Shakira, I think the other big question always is, well, what do employers actually need to go through to bring me on board? So I know it depends on which visa you come in, but can you talk a little bit about the process on the employer side?
Sure. So I think at the forefront of every employer's mind is who they're getting, what you're worth. How impactful will you be to the particular organization? And I think there's that concern with international students is, I'm a foreign student, I have a visa, the employer won't accept me. And that's really not true. I think the US in general has embraced the whole global transition and global mindset. I love that word and that phrase, where we now understand that you need different people from different areas to really come with the most innovative and effective idea. And so once that's identified, then we deal with the visa issue, right? And the visa issue is directly related to obviously where you're from, your skill set, how you enter the US, and what your plans are long term. So when I meet an international student, an F1 student comes to my office or wants to talk about what their future looks like, those are the questions that I want to know. Are they single? Are they married? Do they plan to stay here? Are they going to leave? What's their degree type? All of that information is relevant to what we'll strategize. And you'd be surprised, even things like relationships and who you're with and who you're married to can be impactful to the visa process as well. So it's not just about you, it's really a very comprehensive view and look. But like I said, advantageous for you guys is right now, especially the US market is very, very open to just who has the best idea, who best represents us. So there are really not many restrictions in that area, but you take that step forward first, and then the employer will, whether it is an internal team, such as one that's at EY, or we have an external immigration law firm, planning what the end result will be is kind of secondary.
Okay. And then maybe Carl and Patricia, can you share a little bit about what your visa process looked like as you were sort of going through that job search after getting your degree?
Sure.
Yeah, you go.
Sure. So I'm actually in a very particular situation. So I came to the U.S. when I was 17, and my mother got married right before I turned 18. So I was kind of handed like this golden thing, which was a green card on my lap, which is the same as kind of winning the lottery. So in that sense, I feel very fortunate. That's actually, I left the States to travel, and I actually had to come back because if you're outside the territory for more than 6 months, you potentially forfeit, I can say that. That word that I can't pronounce. So that was kind of my process, in the sense that I didn't really have to go through one. So yeah.
Yeah. So I came on F1, and I was on F1, and then I actually left academia for a little bit, and I was in Germany, and that's when the kind of talks started. So that the job actually started applying for my I guess work visa, and then in the meantime I was actually dating somebody, so we eventually got married, and that kind of speeded everything up. It's, you know, that's not a recommendation to get married, right? It definitely helps in some way. It does help, what can I say? However, the process is still very long. You still go through so much scrutiny, especially if you're Eastern European for some reason. They check on everything. So that really was the process. So those two combined, like talking with potential employers way beforehand, and getting your foot in the door, and then I think that was the most important part. Those human relationships develop.
Just to piggyback off what you both said, I think the most important thing for any international student is networking, right? Yeah. I mean, I know you guys are brilliant and you have the highest degrees, and my best friend is here, by the way, it's in the back, and we talked a lot about this. It really is who you know, right? So every opportunity you get, you see it as a door, right? Because it may not be the ideal job that you're looking for. It may not even be an available position. But if you leave a network and you leave an impact on whoever you're meeting, you don't know where that connection will go. Someone will recommend you to someone else just because of that initial meeting. So it really is about networking, getting your foot through the door, letting people know who you are and what you're about.
I think that's a perfect segue into sort of the other side of this, is that I think we all know, right, the relationship building is so important, but we all identify that it's really hard. And it doesn't matter if you're from, an American, not an American, networking is really hard, and it can be scary. So I think, especially for you guys who you work with foreign nationals, you guys are not originally from the United States, what kind of strategies do you think international students can use so that they can be building a network and also feel comfortable doing it and authentic doing it?
Well, so first of all, I think, and I forgot to mention this, that I also was an international student at some point, right? So I'm not originally from the United States. I'm an island girl. And so I had to go through parts of the process initially as well. Networking to me is always having your elevator speech ready. Because when you meet someone, sometimes you get tongue-tied, sometimes there's nerve. Figure out what you want to say in 30 seconds and practice it daily, right? At home or whatever. It really could just be 2-3 questions that you say, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm from so-and-so, or someone said to me, nice glasses. Oh, and so I come up with the story behind the glasses, and that's my segue. And so, do you know what I mean? So it's things like that. I don't think you're ever skilled at networking, or even just with everyone. We're human beings, you get nervous, but try to figure out 2 or 3 things that you can comfortably talk about and practice that, and then use that to your advantage as you meet new people and have new opportunities to do that.
Yeah, I just to piggyback on that, actually, I really dislike the art of small talk, and yet you have to, like, coming from where I come from, I actually studied genocide, so I'm like, I don't want to talk about small things because there's all this stuff happening in the world, and yet it's so important to be able to carry this superficial at the beginning conversation because that's your segue to go deeper in. And that's something I would say you can practice anywhere.
Yep.
When you go to Starbucks or when you go wherever to a restaurant, have a small talk with anybody. And that kind of gets your social skills up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you're meeting new people, it's not like you're interviewing, right? So be yourself, like be genuine, care about them, ask them questions. And whenever somebody asks you, like, so what do you want? You need to know what you want. Right? If you don't have a clue of what you want, people can't help you. So you need to say, this is my status, this is what I'm looking for. And one of the things that I've been surprised in New York is how willing people are to connecting one another. A lot of what makes New York is this pool of diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us here in this room, right? And we're all here happy to help each other because most of us have been there at one point or another in our lives. So go out there and meet people. And to give some specific examples, for me, that was the continuing education program here at NYU. There's many other opportunities out there, things like meetup.com. Whether you're hanging out with people because they like the same subreddits as you and you go play Capture the Flag down Wall Street, or you are, just doing some food tasting around Astoria, like you get to meet really interesting people. And if you care about them and you keep those relationships alive, you really increase your chances of finding someone who will have the connection to them, introduce you to the right people. Right? It's like this multiplier effect. Anybody you connect with, you can also use their connections.
I think on that topic, what other resources should our students be aware of, whether it has something to do with the visa process or, to more your point, expanding their networks? What did you guys use? What do you see others use where they can be successful?
I would say your school is your number one resource. Your International Student Services Office, I don't know what it's called.
OGS.
OGS.
That's very good.
your main, that's your main resource. They will know our programs. They'll be able to tell you about initiatives and things like that. But I like what he said is you first have to know what it is that you want, right? So we can't know for you. Your advisors will not know. But if you have your own plan, you have your own map, then you utilize the resources of this center as well as any other connections to help you get to where you need to get to.
That's
But I want to draw home your point that you actually made about going out and meeting people. Specifically, like you really don't know where I met so many amazing people in my running group, right? I trained for marathons, and then it turned out actually one of the people I started one of the companies with, I met them during running. So it is those little skills of like being social and saying like, how are you? And actually my husband taught me that because he would literally go to a room of strangers and he would be like, how are you? I'm Ed. And I was like, how can you do that? He's like, you just go in and then that opens the door. And people here are actually very funny in New York. So.
And to your point, like, when you're at a networking event, that's what people are there for. You're not like interrupting, they're there to meet people.
Yeah, exactly.
But also don't be the person that goes like, hi, I'm Carl, nice to meet you, here's my business card, and then like you walk away.
Can I have a job?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I get that.
Please.
It's like, you're human, right? Like treat them like you'd want, imagine you're in their shoes. What would it take for you to be like, this person seems interesting, like let me grab coffee with them, right? They're very busy. So like a very concrete example for me is when I meet somebody that I would love to have a chat, like I did when I was going to the continuing education program. I said, where's your office located? And when I would follow up, I'd find a coffee shop near their office. So I would say like, hey, can we meet on X and Y, Z date? I suggest a date because that's always easier to schedule. I noticed there's this coffee shop right next to your office. Would any of these times work for you? And oftentimes they might say no because they're busy, but then they know that you did your homework, and then they might say, no, but how does next week work for you? Like, of course I'm free next week. Like, yes, I'll be there. Oh, let me check. Oh, perfect. Like, right. Like, of course I'm gonna be there. And it's you being proactive about making it convenient for the person to meet you, for you to share your story and share. Like again, as you said, share your passion. Like if you're into a running group, like that's a great place to meet people, and talk about those things. Talk about the things you care about. What are your side projects? Like they care much more about the whole package, who you are as a person, than just like, all right, here's the line items of their resume. Like when you're having coffee with someone, it's about that connection and be genuine. I think that's important.
Proactive. Yeah, I think being proactive is absolutely essential for you in terms of success of your careers. I mean, I'll give you an example about, again, knowing what it is that you want. So I have a 19-year-old daughter who goes to Howard. And so it's a funny story. She is very too proactive sometimes, I think. So for her Sweet 16, we were planning this 5 years in advance, right? Seriously. With a book, written notes, and all of that. This was her thing. And then going into high school, she always said, here's the school that I'm going to Howard. So of course, as our parents, we're like, heck no, that's not happening. Like, you have to go where you're close to home. But she went and she did her research and she did her compares. So when we got to the time where we were going to talk about school, and I had my, my legal background in place to say, okay, no, this is not happening, that's not happening. Surprisingly, she had her own arguments. And at the end of the day, I mean, she won clearly because she's there. But what did it for her was being proactive and getting the information together. And for employers, it's the same thing. Coming to me for a job or whatever, I want to see how well prepared you are. If you know about our company, if you know about my team, if you know about your own self, what does the F1 visa entail? What are the restrictions? What do I need to do? Even if sometimes your information is not accurate, just the fact that you did the research and you have that information ready will give me the impetus to help you accordingly. And I think that would be the case for all employers. So being proactive is absolutely imperative to success in your career.
One question, too, that I want to pose is, do you think there's specific skills or experiences that an international student should bring to light over others that you tend to see in the people that you hire, or when you guys were looking for jobs that the same, recruiter, the same interviewer kept going back to? And if you could talk about those skills a little bit.
Well, sorry, I can talk actually from both sides because I was looking for a job, but then I was also hiring people, and it was about them, much less than the resume. Like, the resumes would come, and of course I would choose based on that. But then it was like, what are you passionate about? It was like how well-rounded are you, and also how. It was much less about the degree. It was much more about like how much are you willing to learn, and like how much do you know about the company? Are you passionate about the company, and how much can you bring in as a person? Then whether you have a degree, I don't know, in physics or in social sciences, it really does not matter. Like, overall, it does not matter that much. Neither does GPA matter that much. Fortunately and unfortunately, it might matter for your stipend, but eventually when you go and look for a job, it's like, okay, like, we bet on the person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To that point, from what I've seen, it's about potential. It's like, is this person passionate about this space? Do they know what they want? Like, if you say, like, what position are you looking for? And say, maybe this or that, or maybe what you tell me, like, that doesn't work, right? So what do you want? How passionate are you? Why are you passionate about this? And they don't expect you to have years of experience, right? Like, it's early on jobs, but do your research. What have you done? If you can't do an internship, have you tried volunteering somewhere to start getting some of that experience? In my case, for digital marketing, there's trainings to get certified on Google AdWords, which is an ad platform, right? So I went and I got my certification. Like, that's me being proactive. I know that I like this because so and so and so. Here's what I've done. And I think that's really important. The fact that they will hire for potential more than your years of experience, because you're starting off. Like, it's normal not to have that.
Yeah, that's true. So from an employer standpoint, so the education is necessary because it gets you through the door. Yes, the school is also imperative to some degree because, again, it gets you that audience. But then when you get in front of me or my team or any employer, it is all about you. And yes, I agree, potential, definitely, how passionate you are about, whatever it is that you're applying for, but also how pliable you are, right? Do you come in with preconceived notions, or are you ready to take on whatever it is, right? So I actually have an NYU person interning with me now that we're going to be placing an offer to shortly. And what made that happen was he made himself different. He made himself different in terms of taking initiatives, right? So he was hired for X, and he did X very well, because you have to make sure your responsibilities you do well at. But then he started looking at other areas and suggesting things. Oh, we should do this and we should do that, and why don't you try this, and here's the research. And that for us was like, wait, there's more to this person. And so now it's just like we definitely want to keep him, but it's because of him selling himself, right? Which is what he did by being proactive, taking initiative, doing well at his job, and selling himself, being passionate about what he does. And I think he's going to have a great career with us at EY.